So hello and welcome to another episode of Turning the Page. I'm Siddharth Talia and I'm joined by Dr. Vivek Mansingh, a successful entrepreneur, a mentor, an innovator, and now an author of this latest book, Achieving Meaningful Success, Unleashing the Power of Me. I'm also being joined by Mr. Mohandas Pais, chairman of the Manipal Global Education and also a well-known opinion maker. And thank you, gentlemen, for speaking to us on Times Now. At a time when the emphasis on creating the system for innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship is perhaps greater than it has ever been. And Dr. Mansingh, let me in fact begin with you, because you've shared several anecdotes in this book about hardships and some of the hardships that you yourself had to go through. And let me refer to one of them for the benefit of our viewers as well as listeners. And that is when you were appearing for your IIT entrance exams. You immediately felt that you had a setback because all the questions were in English and you felt you were at a disadvantage. And you had studied all that while in a Hindi medium of instruction school. But you managed to overcome that. Even though you didn't really do well in that exam, you went back to the drawing board and reevaluated your goals as well as objectives. So something that serves as a lesson for a lot of people around the country today as well, sir, in this extremely competitive environment that we live in. What can you tell us about that particular experience and how you set about making things right from there on?
I come from Fatehpur, a very small city in UP, and I'm a product of Government Intermediate College, which was Hindi medium school, where in the lower classes, we didn't even have desks to sit. After my grade 12, I gave IIT entrance exam and the paper was in English. That was the first time I saw the paper in English. I couldn't understand lots of questions and I couldn't succeed in IIT. But that is sort of a back step that I took, that I immediately gave myself a goal that I want to go to an NIT, and I was accepted at NIT Allahabad. And I gave myself a goal that I'll be topping the class after 4.5 years. And I did. I was a gold medalist from there and then went to Canada for my graduate studies and so on. So I think the message, Siddharth, there is that you will have failures in your journey. Take it in a stride, learn the lesson from that and move on.
Mr. Pai, coming to you, please tell us about some of the takeaways that you were able to kind of take out from Dr. Mansingh's book, and how important is the concept of mentorship in today's India, which strives for a lot of emphasis on self-reliance as well as Atmanirbharta. In such an atmosphere, how would you rate the importance of mentorship as well as guidance in this kind of an atmosphere?
Well, to me, the important thing about Dr. Vivek's book is the fact that if people have the passion, energy, and the dedication to work hard, anybody can succeed. And Vivek is a classic example of a small town boy who grew up in the Hindi heartland, went to a Hindi medium government school, went to the NIT, did well, got a scholarship to go to the US and study, worked very hard, came on top, finished in 14 months as against 24 months, went on a world tour, then did his PhD, worked in some of the best companies in the world, and did extremely well, propelled by his passion, his energy, his dream, his goals, and worked on his plan. And he stuck to it throughout. He made sure that he built relationship with his family and everybody else, gave back to society, and gave up everything to come to India to take care of his aged parents, especially his mother, and gave new meaning to his father's life after his mother passed away. It's a very poignant, individualistic story, which demonstrates to every single individual that everybody can succeed, provided you set a goal for yourself. There are no handicaps that you cannot overcome. Everything is a plus for you in your life. Make the most of it, be self-motivated. Everybody is bright. And everybody can really make it if they work hard and smart enough. And so many people wallow in self-pity. So many people get defeated by the circumstances because they don't set a goal. And Vivek's life shows that once you set a goal and work towards it and invest in yourself. I mean, the most important thing a human being can do is to invest in yourself. He invested in himself, getting an MBA degree, a master's degree in technology, a PhD, starting his own company, selling that company, and so many things have been done. So I think it's a great example. And as far as mentors go, for Vivek, what has been mentorship is essentially his own self-motivation. And then his parents have been mentors who have inspired him. He talks about his mother who, took him on a short tour during the 1962 mobilization to give soldiers in the railway station a cardigan, a sweater, which was knitted by her along with food. And he said he was struck by the dedication and the love and affection his mother had for her country and for the people. I mean, those women were extraordinary mothers. They were extraordinary mothers. If you look at the life of all our mothers, they sacrificed so much for us. All of us who have been successful are products of mothers who sacrificed their careers, their dream to give us a leg up. So he is born in such a family, an ordinary family, not very rich, who had enough on the table, a middle-class family with a large family. He grew up in a very loving environment, and he carried that throughout his career. And the good thing is that, like he says in the book, you need to have a broader vision than your career, because so many people focus on the career alone. The career doesn't give you the satisfaction and the will for life, because when you focus only on the career, there's a great emptiness in your life because your life has no other objective. And that means that when you succeed, you look back and say, I've succeeded, now what? You don't know what to do. So your objective should be multifaceted. Take care of your family, take care of your immediate loved ones, to give back to society, to build your career, educate yourself. And once you have a broad set of objectives, including your own success, then your life becomes full, and you live your life fully well. And a person's greatest success is what is he left behind? And I think that shows very well. And he talks about different kind of mentors. And he has a mentor in the HP founders. Then he had a mentor in Michael Dell, he says. Then he had a mentor in, John Chambers of
Cisco. And so on.
Then
yes.
Steve Jobs. Then coming back here, he worked with many other people. So I think he's been successful. But the key message is very simple. There are people whom you have to approach to mentor and to help. They're not waiting there for you to appear for them because they're very busy people. But you have to reach out. And to reach out, you have to find out what is it that you need. What can these people offer you, and talk to them and learn from them. In our ancient traditions, we always are told that to go ahead in life, you need a guru. Why do you need a guru or a mentor? You need a guru or a mentor because the guru has done it before. It makes the journey easier.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you have to rediscover everything that makes you successful. But when you have a guru, the guru is there to teach based upon the guru's life experience, what they have seen. And they probably have seen much, much more. And if you go to those mentors and choose the mentors, I think is important. And finally, Vivek has come to the conclusion that the best way he can give back to society is to mentor maybe 1 million people, 1 million people, 2 million people, very large numbers. Because as he says in the goal, most people fail not because they achieved what they set out to achieve, but because they set the goal too low. So aim for the skies, and even if you fall, you're 6 feet ahead. And aim for the moon, even if you fall, you're still ahead. Because a life lived without high goals and high achievement is not a life lived well, because you will never achieve your potential. And every human being has the potential. So I think a fantastic book, which is self-taught. Everybody should read it, understand it, because it answers everything. And like he writes in his book,
right,
it doesn't tell you what to do, but it tells you how to find a way and what principles you have to follow to succeed in life based upon his life experience. At the end of it, you feel that your life is empty without a mentor. You can always reach out to Vivek. And Vivek says always available to help. So I think overall, extremely beautiful book for individuals to come up based on the life experience of a person who's done it all.
And the manner in which it's written, the communication is very effective and it's very simple, Dr. Mansingh. And you, in fact, left Indian shores towards the early 90s. You first, of course, went to Queen's University in Canada. And thereafter, you became very successful and a very successful entrepreneur as well in the United States. So therefore, you were part of that brain drains, in a certain sense, if some might put it, when a lot of young people were leaving India in the early 90s in the pre-liberalization era. And that brain drain very much continued for several decades after that. Now we are in a situation where there is a lot of talk of carving out a career within India. And while the aspiration still remains to emigrate and move overseas, there is greater hope than ever before of becoming successful here. What are the roadblocks that you see to that innovative journey in India still that need to be addressed? And how can we overcome that? Because I speak with specific reference to what somebody like Ratan Tata told you in the interview that you conducted, where he said we don't really have a lot of disruptive startups, for example. And perhaps there's a certain culture of protectionism in this country that still prevails. So how do we now encounter that and challenge that, that we're in a better position now than we were in the past?
Yeah. Siddharth, I'll answer your question, but let me step back a little bit and build on what Mr. Pai has said, right? So what was the motivation for writing this book, right? My fundamental belief that mentors are invaluable. If you read a book called The $1 Trillion Coach, which written by Bill Campbell, where he has coached and mentored people like, Steve Jobs, Intuit founders, Google founders, etc. If those people can benefit from mentoring and coaching, how about you and me? Obviously, we will benefit from it, right? I have mentored Siddhartha hundreds of thousands of people over the years in my career, and I was able to make a significant difference to them. And that is why now I gave a goal to myself that I want to mentor 1 million people, and all free of charge. All the profits from the book are being donated to Chitput Eye Hospital, and all the mentoring online is free. The idea is that I want to give that guidance to a Fatehpur boy, which I did not have, right? So that was the motivation for writing the book. Now coming to the question that you are asking, what does actually the book do? And then I'll come to your question. The motto of the book, in one line, I can describe the book as define who you aspire to be and become that person. Now, defining who you aspire to be is very critical part. Most people never define. So you want to go for a 15-minute drive from your home, you set a Google map and you immediately set the destination. And what about Google map for your life? No destination set. So aspiration is very important. Capturing that in a meaningful way is very important, and aspiring big, like Mr. Pai said, is very important. Let me give you an example that will resonate with everyone. Dhoni became ticket collector. He didn't aspire to become station master. He aspired to become cricket player for India team. Dilip Kumar, the actor, was selling fruit. He didn't aspire to have a bigger fruit stall or the best fruit stall in Bombay. He aspired to become a movie actor, and he did. So I think aspiration in a big way is not easy. That's why you need a mentor who can help you aspire big. Once you have captured that with a concept I call wheel of goals, the second part of it is becoming worthy of your aspirations by becoming the best version of yourself and investing in yourself, like Mr. Pai said. So that is what I did. That is how I carried my life. I succeeded in US. And now coming back to when I came back in 2000, I was founder and CEO of my company in US. And my mother was not well. I took her to Stanford Hospital. The Stanford Hospital gave her 6 months to live. That evening, believe it or not, that evening I decided to return back to India. I gave up my CEO position. I gave up my company and everything and moved back to India and sort of worked here for multiple companies, which were very, very successful. Now, and I have moved over 500 people in last 20 years to India from US. What is the key recipe? The key recipe is you should know why you are coming to India. Don't complain about traffic. Don't complain about roads. You know what they are. These are challenges of any developing world. So complaining will not solve the problem. Figure out constructively how you can actually contribute. And secondly, have very, very clear goals of what you want to achieve by being in India. If you do that and you are passionate about your goals and you make a difference to India, you would love India. There is no better place than India for that.
Mr. Pai, coming to you and taking off from what Dr. Mansingh also said, I refer to the interview that Ratan Tata had given Dr. Mansingh, where Mr. Tata says that there's perhaps a certain culture of protectionism in India that still prevails, which is why we don't really have many disruptive startups. That was his claim. Dr. Mansingh also talks about the fact that in countries like China as well as the United States, you have more than 500,000 patents being applied for on a yearly basis. The comparison in terms of numbers for India is around 40,000. So therefore, to develop and boost this culture of innovation as well as entrepreneurship in India, what do you think is the need of the hour? Because that's become the catchphrase, so to speak, in 21st century post-liberalization India now, sir.
Siddharth, I think we got to analyze the situation before you make very big statements like Ratan Tata did, and I think other people do. Let's understand the context first. The US is a $21 trillion economy. When Vivek went there, it's probably a $10 trillion economy. I think Vivek can give the data. When Vivek went there, possibly 25 years ago, India must have been 400 million.
That's
with
correct.
A population maybe 4 times that of the US, impoverished by 200 years of colonization. And let us get our facts right. First is, there is no brain drain from this country. Any Indian wants to study, go out, please go. Because everybody has a right to their lives, and we are a free country, the free vision. If people go out, fine. If they come back, fine. If they don't come back, fine. They have to live their lives, and we should wish them well. Second, all this issue of creating environment, the environment is created when you have an economy which supports all that. With a $2,000 per capita income, comparing to America's $51,000, China with $11,000 is a joke. You must compare India with China when China was $3 trillion.
That's right.
And China didn't have much. For the size of our economy, 40,000 patents is fantastic. China is $16 trillion. America is $21 trillion. One American company will spend more on R&D than the whole of India. So let's get our perspectives right. I want to ask Ratan Tata, how much money has he given for disruptive startups? How much money have the Tatas given for creating disruptive startups? We must ask ourselves the question like Vivek has done. What have I done to improve the ecosystem and to do well? Please remember, this poor country gave Vivek the great opportunity to get educated, go to NIT without paying for fees, and go to the US, and he paid back his debt by coming back. That's what you must applaud, right? There's no brain drain and all that. So
that's right. That's right.
What we need to do is very simple. We need to have more capital, which we don't have. We are opened up to the world. A lot of money is coming. We have 83 unicorns, 43 unicorns last year. And this year, in first 45 days, we have 9 unicorns. All right. There's an enormous amount of activity happening in this country. And all of us have an obligation, like Vivek has done, joining a fund to help young companies come up, incubate, give them the advice and the mentorship that he has because of his stupendous knowledge and experience and exposure, and do all that and grow the system. And it will take time. When we become a $10 trillion economy, I want to see people come and say brain drain and all that, and come and say, oh, we don't have patents and all that. You're going to see the difference in 10 years' time.
Yeah,
let me give some data. From 1950 to 1980, we only grew at 3.5% a year, 2.5% in population. And Nehru had suppressed the private sector and private Indian capitalism. We opened up in the 1980s, 80 to 95.5%. 91, when he opened up, we grew from 275 billion to 3.15 trillion in 22 March, 8.3% a year in dollar terms for 31 years. And from 572 lakh crores to about 232 lakh crores is about 12.8, 13% a year for 31 years. That is the impact of an open economy which grows. So I think, these are big issues you must talk about. I don't think we should moan and groan. Understand what we are, improve, and like Vivek is doing, help others to come up, support them, give them capital, etc. That is the way out for India.
Yeah, let me add to what Mr. Pai said, Siddhartha. First of all, yes, we may be behind US and China. Like Mr. Pai said, their economies are much larger, but we are doing phenomenal with the limited resources that we have, right? We have 40 plus unicorns we have created last year. Now, let me tell you, like Mr. Pai said, what is my goal? My goal is that I want to create 5 unicorns from India in the next 10 odd years in product and deep technology space. So everyone criticizes India that there are not enough product companies here. I will create 5 to 10 unicorns from India with the resources we have, with the innovation we have, and we will put India on the roadmap of startups in product space, deep technology space, which will come out of India. So that is the approach you have to take, and the future is very, very bright.
You know, I want to add one thing, Siddharth. The future is what you make it out to be.
That's right.
Siddharth, none of us were born with a golden spoon like a Ratan Tata. Okay? Neither you, nor Vivek, nor I. We have done very well in our lives. How? We are self-motivated, we work our butts off, and we've done extremely well. Right? Am I right? So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
That is what you must celebrate. You must celebrate successes. No moaning, no groaning, no brain drain, nothing of that. You want to go abroad, fine. Go ahead. Be successful. We are all very happy. You don't want to come back, fine. You want to come back, fine. It's okay. We are going to build this country. And those of us who come back to this country, who stayed in this country, we are going to build our country. And we're going to build our country for ourselves. We're not going to build a country because somebody gives an award. Vivek is not doing everything because somebody is going to give him an award. And that, Siddharth, is the biggest thing that you must respect in a Vivek and others who have done so much for this country.
Yeah, Siddharth, let me just add a couple of simple points about the book so that people who are thinking about a book, they can add. Who is the book for? So first of all, it is for anyone literally, but 15-year onwards. If you are a high school student, college student, or a professional, or even CXO, the book is for you. Based on your maturity, you will draw different lessons from the book. So book is relevant to all, right? Very important point. Book itself is a mentor. You will actually get mentored by book itself, by examples, not like Mr. Pai said, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not even telling you what your goal should be. You decide what your goal is, but there is a process. If you follow, you will be many times more successful, right? That is the purpose of the book. And it's a guarantee that it will help you achieve meaningful success, which comes from following multidimensional balanced life goals, which bring you happiness and fulfillment at the end, which is ultimately the purpose of life.
And that's what really stands out about the book that you've written, Dr. Mansingh, because you're not just talking about material goals. It's a very holistic approach to goal setting. And therefore, in the context of the pandemic that we've just been through, we've just overcome the third wave. With the advent of the pandemic, Dr. Mansingh, there seems to be a big shift in our psyche on how we perceive material success. And there's a large conversation now more than ever before on the issue of mental health as well as well-being. So how do you think that the pandemic has affected our understanding of the notion of meaningful success?
Yeah, very, very good question. Pandemic has made us look life in a broader perspective. We all thought we could earn an enormous amount of money and can do whatever we want. Well, many people who had a lot of money could not get oxygen in the second wave or could not survive the virus. So I think it is important that throughout your life, you lead a balanced life. Don't think about giving back, for example, when you have a lot of money at the end of your life. Premji model works very well. He's doing phenomenal for this country. But Mr. Premji has been doing that throughout his life. Mr. Murthy has been doing that throughout his life. I have been doing it throughout my life. So I think giving back and all other things in life, whether they are relationships or taking care of your body, mind, and soul, all of those are important all the time. However, pandemic has made it very clear to us that following single dimensional life will not lead us to happiness. So very important learning from that and broader perspective. Also, it has clarified, Siddhartha, that we need a society around us. We were miserable when the lockdown happened. Why? You had everything in your home. You had your Mercedes-Benz and Audis and a 5-star like home. So why were you actually cribbing? Because we could not interact with the larger society. So when you need these larger society, make sure you take care of them every day in a small or big way.
To continue with that, Dr. Mansingh, on a closing note, was the trigger to give back? Were the seeds of that sown on that railway station in Fatehpur when you were there with your mother, and the women who had gathered there were knitting cardigans to give out to the soldiers who were on their way to the frontiers with China. That was part of Nehru's forward policy, like you've said in the book. Were the seeds of wanting to give back sown more than 60 years ago almost?
It was in 1962, that is when the India-China war happened. And yes, I was 6-year-old. We went to the train station, the train stopped. It was full of army personnel. And then my mother handed over a cardigan and some sweets and some edibles to a soldier who we do not know, right? It was just a son of motherland who we gave. And yes, as a 6-year-old, that was a very, very clear picture in my mind that, you know, we need to take care of country, we need to take care of other people, not just ourselves. That was reinforced throughout my life with both my mother and with my father. And then my family, believe it or not, now my children who are 20 to 30 years old, their biggest thing is, Dad, you must do more for the country. You must do more for the less privileged. And that is one of the motives of doing what I am doing. And Mentor a Million, let me also tell you, Siddharth, it has never been done anywhere in the world. No single person has mentored 1 million people ever. So if we are able to do that with the help of Mr. Pai, with the help of Siddhartha, I will be very, very proud Indian to achieve that target.
We'll do what we can to spread the words, and this interview is a part of that. Any closing thoughts, Mr. Mohandas Pai?
No, my closing thoughts are very simple. You know, the biggest investment we can make in our lives is to invest in ourselves. We have only one life. And like you said, Siddharth, the COVID showed all of us that we are all mortal human beings. We are all mortals. We have one life, and this life is not going to come back. And every day we are going to age, so make the most of it. And during phases of your life, there are things you must do. When you're young, you must educate yourself, build all your skills. As you grow older and become a family man, take care of your family, build your career, and earn well enough, achieve all the laurels that you want. And as your kids grow up and you grow up, give back to society, expand your life choices, take care of everybody else, and live a very fulfilled, broad-based life, not a narrow-based life based on wealth creation. Wealth creation is very important. Let's not downplay that. It's very important. But the power of wealth is the power to give away, not the power to keep. Not the power to keep. Please remember, we all found that as we grow older, we can't eat more. How many more clothes are you going to buy? How many bungalows are you going to buy? How much cars are you going to buy? And there is COVID outside the door. You're too scared to even go outside your door. And you're talking about some of the most powerful people in the world who achieved so much. Everybody was naked before the COVID. And you couldn't see this small little virus which was destroying lives and scaring the lives out of the most powerful countries, most powerful leaders in the world. So I think it forces everybody to re-examine. And that's why Vivek's book is important. As we re-examine, we must look at lives of success, broad-base our lives, and re-examine our lives. I'm sure all of us, professionals and others, in the COVID times, are re-examine, and we lead a very different life from the life that we led before COVID. Because so many things we did are not important anymore. And so many things we didn't do, like relationship, family, being together with friends, spending time on yourself, improving your health, educating yourself, are more important than anything else.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Vivek Mansingh, as well as Mr. Mohandas Pai. It was a very invigorating and illuminating conversation. And Dr. Mansingh, wish you all the best with your book. There's a lot of food for thought in there, and it's essential reading because of the message that it conveys in such a simple as well as an effective manner. Anything that you wanted to say on a closing note yourself, sir?
I just want to say one or two things. That one, future should be decided by not extrapolating your past. It should be decided by your future aspirations. Very important message. In India, people try to extrapolate past to come up with future. No, aspirations of the future should decide the future, not that. Second point I will make is to do something that you have never done before. You need to become a person you have never been before. Right? Very important. Invest in yourself, like Mr. Pai said. Become worthy of your aspirations. Become the best version of yourself. The book gives you complete guidance on how to become the the best version of yourself. It has people who can inspire you. At least 11 distinguished people are there. At least 1 or 2 will inspire you to become the best version of yourself. And one last point, Siddhartha, book also says there are 4 more gods that can help you in this journey. One God is God. Obviously, you need his blessings. But the 4 more gods are inspirers, role models, mentors, and books. These 4 gods can help you reach any destination that you want to. And I wish all the readers of the book lots and lots of success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mansingh, and thank you, Mr. Mohandas Pais. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mohan. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.